Captain Liam Carter stared at the main screen of the Defiant as it showed the endless black of space. Tiny white dots of distant stars were the only break in the darkness. His ship patrolled the edge of Earth's solar system, a routine mission that had been boring until 10 minutes ago. "Sir, sensors are picking up something strange," said Officer Paul Nash from his station. His fingers moved quickly over the glowing panel, energy readings unlike anything I've seen before. Carter walked over to look at the readings himself. "Can you identify it?" "No, sir. It's not in our database." Paul's voice was steady, but his eyes showed worry. Lieutenant Susan Wright spoke up from the communications station. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual wave patterns. They don't match any known ship signatures." Carter returned to his command chair and pressed a button. "All crew to alert status. This is not a drill." The lights on the bridge dimmed to a soft red glow as the ship's system shifted to combat readiness. "There," Paul pointed at his screen. "Something is happening." On the main display, the empty space began to change. It looked like the fabric of reality itself was being torn apart. A massive hole appeared, dark at first, then filled with swirling colors. "What in God's name is that?" Carter whispered. The answer came quickly. A massive ship emerged from the strange portal. Then another, and another. Soon there were 7 enormous vessels arranged in a perfect formation. Each one dwarfed the Defiant by at least 20 times. They were unlike any ships humans had designed. Their hulls seemed partly metal and partly living tissue, with strange patterns that shifted and moved as if breathing. "Sir, they're scanning us," Paul reported. "Our shields are holding, but their technology is... it's like nothing we've ever seen." Carter's mind raced. First contact. Humanity had wondered for decades if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer. "Lieutenant Wright, open all communication channels. Standard greeting protocol." Susan worked quickly at her station. "Channels open, sir. Transmitting first contact message in all formats." Minutes passed in tense silence. The crew of the Defiant waited, watching the alien ships that hung motionless in space. "Captain, we're receiving a response," Susan finally announced. "It's complex. The computer is struggling to decode it." "Put it on the main screen. Let's see what we're dealing with." The screen filled with strange symbols that flowed and changed. Some looked like mathematical equations, others like complex geometric patterns. "It's a language primer," Susan realized. "They're teaching us how to understand them." For the next hour, the ship's computer worked to build a translation matrix based on the alien transmission. Finally, a message appeared on the screen. "We are the vanguard of the Kral Empire. Your solar system lies within our expansion path. Prepare for integration. Resistance is inefficient and will result in unnecessary loss of life." Carter read the message twice. "Not exactly friendly, are they?" He turned to his communications officer. "Contact Earth Command immediately. Priority Alpha." While they waited for Earth to respond, Carter ordered detailed scans of the alien ships. "Their weaponry appears to be plasma-based," reported Officer Nash. "Heavily shielded. Power readings are off our charts. Captain, we wouldn't stand a chance against even one of those ships." "Let's hope it doesn't come to that," Carter replied. "Keep scanning. I want to know everything about them." The response from Earth came 4 hours later. By then, 3 more alien ships had arrived. Admiral Frank Peterson's face appeared on the screen. The lines around his eyes looked deeper than when Carter had seen him last. "Captain Carter, your situation has been assessed at the highest levels. We are deploying the 3rd Fleet to your position. ETA 18 hours. The Admiral paused. "Your orders are to engage in diplomatic delaying tactics. Request meetings, cultural exchanges, anything to buy us time." "Time for what, sir?" "We have options that weren't in your briefing, Captain. Just keep them talking and avoid any aggressive actions." Carter nodded. "Understood, sir." After the Admiral's image disappeared, Carter turned to Lieutenant Wright. "Send a message to the Kral ships. Tell them we wish to establish diplomatic relations before any integration discussions." 6 hours later, Carter found himself face to face with a Kral. The alien commander appeared on the view screen, causing several crew members to gasp. The being had an insect-like head with multiple compound eyes arranged in a circle. Its body was covered in a shimmering exoskeleton that seemed to change color with its movements. "I am Overlord Vextree of the Kral Empire," the alien said through the translation system. Its voice sounded like several people speaking at once. "Your delay tactics are noted but unnecessary. We have studied your species for some time. Your technology is primitive. Your defenses inadequate. We offer you the gift of belonging to the greatest empire the galaxy has known." Carter kept his expression neutral. "We appreciate your offer, Overlord Vextree, but humans value their independence. Perhaps we could discuss mutual benefits without integration?" The alien's eyes pulsed with an inner light. "You misunderstand. This is not a negotiation. We have annexed 47 solar systems in the past cycle. Some joined willingly, others required persuasion. The outcome is inevitable. Nevertheless, our protocols require thorough discussion before any such decisions can be made," Carter insisted. "Our leadership wishes to learn more about the Kral." "Very well," the alien commander replied. "We will allow this delay as you come to accept your future. But know this: the Empire does not leave empty-handed." After the transmission ended, Officer Nash approached Carter. "Sir, I've analyzed their communications. They're transmitting signals to locations beyond our solar system. I think this is just their advance team." Carter looked at the alien ships on the screen. If these massive vessels were just scouts, how large was their actual fleet? The next 12 hours passed in tense exchanges. The Kral shared information about their empire, which spanned thousands of star systems. They described how planets under their rule provided resources, troops, and technological innovations. Carter noted they never mentioned what benefits the conquered worlds received. When the Third Fleet arrived, Carter felt a wave of relief followed quickly by concern. Earth's ships were impressive by human standards, the latest fusion drives, plasma weapons, and quantum-enhanced shields. But compared to the Kral vessels, they looked fragile and outdated. Admiral Peterson contacted Carter directly. "Well, done, Captain. We'll take it from here." "Sir, with respect, I don't think we can win this through military action," Carter said quietly. The Admiral's expression was grim but determined. "Who said anything about winning, Captain? We just need to show them we won't go down without a fight." As Carter watched Earth's fleet take position, he wondered what other plans the Admiral had in mind. Whatever they were, he hoped they would be enough. The Kral clearly weren't used to hearing the word no. Dr. Alice Moore wiped sweat from her forehead as she stared at the complex equations on her screen. The bright lights of the Lunar Research Station's main lab made her eyes hurt after 16 hours of non-stop work. She had not slept in nearly 2 days. "More coffee?" asked Ben Harris, her assistant. The young man looked as tired as she felt. Alice nodded without looking up. "Thanks. Any word from Earth Command?" Admiral Peterson's last update said the aliens are still in position. No direct attacks yet, but they're getting impatient. Alice took the coffee and drank it quickly, not caring that it burned her tongue. "Time is the one thing we don't have. This technology was never meant to be used like this." For the past 5 years, Alice and her team had been developing what they called the Quantum Barrier System. It was designed to protect Earth from dangerous solar radiation during extreme solar events. The system used quantum field generators to create a protective shell around Earth or specific regions. Now they were trying to modify it to cover the entire solar system. "The simulations keep failing," Ben said, pointing to his own screen. "If we extend the field too far, it becomes unstable. If we make it too strong, it could affect our own ships." Alice rubbed her tired eyes. "We need to find the balance. The Kral don't know about this technology. It's our only advantage." The other side of the solar system, Captain Liam Carter sat in a tense meeting with Admiral Peterson aboard the flagship Sentinel. The Admiral had just finished explaining Earth's plan. "So that's it?" Carter asked. "We stall while Dr. Moore figures out how to shield the entire solar system?" Peterson nodded. "That's the main strategy. But first we need to show the Kral that taking Earth won't be easy. They've conquered many worlds, but humans are different. We need to make them understand that." They outnumber and outgun us, Carter pointed out. How do we make that point without starting a war we can't win? The Admiral smiled grimly. We're going to let them make the first move, then respond with everything we've got, but only against one ship. A controlled demonstration. The opportunity came sooner than expected. A smaller Kral vessel broke formation and moved toward Mars. It ignored all warnings from Earth ships to stop. They're testing our resolve, Admiral Peterson said as he watched the situation unfold from the command center. Captain Carter, deploy Major Williams and her squadron. Major Kate Williams led 12 of Earth's most advanced fighters toward the approaching Krell ship. Her voice was calm as she gave orders to her pilots. Remember the plan, she said. Formation Delta. Target their propulsion systems only. We want to disable, not destroy. The Krell ship fired first, a burst of energy that narrowly missed. The lead fighters, Kate's squadron scattered, then regrouped in an attack pattern. Execute now, Kate ordered. The Earth fighters released a barrage of quantum-tipped missiles. These weapons were Earth's newest technology, designed to disrupt energy fields at the subatomic level. The Krell's shields flickered as the missiles hit. A second wave of fighters swept in from below, firing concentrated energy beams at specific points on the alien vessel. The Krell ship tried to retreat, but it was too late. Its engines sputtered and died. The massive vessel drifted helplessly in space. Target neutralized, Kate reported. No critical damage to their life support systems. On the Sentinel, Admiral Peterson opened a channel to the main Krell fleet. The alien commander's insect-like face appeared on the screen. Overlord Vextri, you have violated our space despite our warnings, Peterson said firmly. As you can see, we are not defenseless. Your ship has not been destroyed as a gesture of restraint on our part. The alien's multiple eyes pulsed with angry light. You have made a grave mistake. This minor setback will not deter the Empire. Peterson leaned forward. We have observed your pattern of conquest across the stars. We know what happened to the Centauri systems. Earth will not surrender. Not today, not ever. This was merely a demonstration of our resolve. After ending the transmission, Peterson turned to Carter. That should keep them thinking for a while. Now we need to check on Dr. Moore's progress. At the Lunar Research Station, Alice had a breakthrough. She jumped up from her chair, startling Ben, who had nearly fallen asleep at his desk. I've got it, she exclaimed. We don't need to create a solid barrier. We can use a lattice pattern. Interconnected quantum fields that can strengthen each other while covering more area. Ben quickly pulled up the new calculations. This might work, but we'd need dozens of emitters positioned throughout the solar system. Then that's what we'll do, Alice said. She immediately opened a channel to Earth Command. Admiral Peterson, we have a solution, but we need time and resources to implement it. The Admiral's response was immediate. You'll get whatever you need, Doctor. How long? 3 days at minimum, Alice replied. Maybe 4. I'll make sure you get 3, Peterson promised. Over the next 72 hours, Earth's factories worked, non-stop to produce the quantum emitters. Disguised as ordinary satellites, these devices were positioned at strategic points throughout the solar system. Meanwhile, Earth's fleet continued to engage in diplomatic talks with the Krell, requesting information about their empire, their culture, and their technology. Overlord Vextri grew increasingly frustrated. Your delaying tactics are transparent, he told Admiral Peterson during their latest exchange. The full might of the Krall Empire approaches. Your demonstration against one ship is meaningless against the thousands that will soon arrive. Peterson maintained a calm demeanor. We are simply being thorough before making such an important decision about Earth's future. On the third day, Alice Moore supervised the final calibrations from the secure facility beneath the lunar surface. The room was filled with scientists and military personnel, all watching anxiously as the system came online. All emitters are in position, Ben reported. Quantum fields are stable and ready for activation. Alice looked at the 3D display showing the entire solar system, with tiny dots representing each emitter. If this worked, Earth would be protected. If it failed, humanity would face subjugation or worse. Admiral, she said through the communication link, we're ready. Peterson's voice came through clearly. Stand by, Doctor. The Kral reinforcements have just arrived. On the main screen, thousands of fold space ruptures appeared at the edge of the solar system. The Kral invasion force had arrived, an armada so vast it seemed to fill the void between stars. So many, someone whispered in the control room. Alice's hands hovered over the activation controls. Admiral? Peterson's voice was firm. Dr. Moore, activate the barrier now. Alice pressed the sequence of commands. Quantum barrier activating. God help us all. Alice's fingers trembled slightly as she completed the activation sequence. For a moment, nothing happened. The room was silent except for the soft hum of computers and the nervous breathing of the team. Then, one by one, the dots on the display, representing the quantum emitters, began to pulse with bright blue light. Energy readings are stable, Ben reported, his voice barely above a whisper. Field generation beginning. On the main screen, they watched as each emitter released a wave of shimmering energy. The waves expanded outward like ripples in a pond. Where they met, they didn't cancel each other out but instead strengthened, forming a lattice pattern just as Alice had predicted. It's working, she breathed. In space, the effect was spectacular. A translucent blue-tinted energy field spread throughout the solar system. It moved faster than any ship, expanding at a rate that surprised even Alice. The quantum particles were linking together, creating a barrier that followed the exact pattern they had programmed. On the bridge of the Sentinel, Admiral Peterson watched the barrier form with a mixture of hope and anxiety. Beside him, Captain Carter stared in awe at the shimmering field. I've never seen anything like it, Carter said. None of us have, Peterson replied. This technology wasn't supposed to be ready for another 5 years. Dr. Moore and her team have accomplished the impossible. The barrier continued to expand, approaching the massive Kral invasion fleet. The alien ships had halted their advance, clearly confused by the strange energy field approaching them. Several Kral vessels at the front of the fleet tried to move away, but they were too slow. The barrier passed through them. What happened next stunned everyone watching. The ships caught in the barrier's path were sliced cleanly in half as if cut by an impossibly sharp blade. Others seemed to phase partially out of reality, becoming transparent before disappearing completely. What just happened? Carter asked. The barrier disrupts the quantum state of any object trying to pass through it, Peterson explained. Dr. Moore warned this might happen. The Kral ships exist partly in another dimension. It's how their fold space technology works. The barrier is forcing all matter into our normal space-time. Their ships can't handle the transition, Surviving Kral vessels quickly backed away from the expanding field. Within minutes, the entire solar system was enclosed in the shimmering blue barrier. Earth, its colonies, and all its ships were inside the protective field. The Kral fleet was outside, unable to enter. In the lunar facility, the team erupted in cheers. Alice collapsed into her chair, exhausted but triumphant. Ben patted her shoulder, his face split with a wide grin. You did it, Dr. Moore. You saved Earth. Alice shook her head. We all did, and it's not over yet. We don't know how long the barrier will hold or if the Kral can find a way through it. On the Sentinel, a communication came through from the Kral flagship. Overlord Vextry's insectoid face appeared on screen, his compound eyes flashing with fury. What have you done? The alien demanded. This technology. It is not possible for your species to possess such knowledge. Admiral Peterson stood tall. You underestimated us, Overlord. Humans have a long history of innovation when backed into a corner. Your empire is not welcome here. This barrier cannot last forever, Vextry hissed. We will find a way through, and when we do, your resistance will be punished severely. Perhaps, Peterson replied calmly. But for now, your invasion has failed. Earth's message to your empire is clear. Passage denied. Turn back now while you still can. The alien commander cut the transmission without another word. Peterson turned to Carter. They won't give up that easily. Get me a secure line to Dr. Moore. We need to know exactly what this barrier can and cannot do. Hours later, Alice Moore briefed Earth's Defense Council from her lab. Her image was projected on a large screen in the council chamber, where military leaders and government officials had gathered. "The quantum barrier is stable for now," she explained. "It prevents any physical object from entering or leaving the solar system. It also blocks most forms of communication and energy weapons." "How long will it last?" asked General Sam Rogers, the head of Earth's ground forces. "In theory, indefinitely," Alice replied. "The emitters draw power from the quantum field itself, but this is untested technology. The Krall will be looking for weaknesses, and they might find them." Admiral Peterson spoke up. "Can they destroy the emitters from outside the barrier?" Alice shook her head. "Not directly. The emitters are inside the barrier and protected by it. But if they find a frequency that can disrupt the quantum field, they might be able to create a hole large enough to send ships through." The council chamber grew quiet as the implications sank in. Earth had won the first battle, but the war was far from over. Over the next week, life on Earth tried to return to normal, despite the knowledge that thousands of enemy ships waited just beyond the barrier. News of the Blue Shield spread across the planet. Some people celebrated in the streets while others stocked up on supplies, fearing the protection wouldn't last. In space, the Krall fleet remained, surrounding the solar system like wolves, circling a campfire. They made no aggressive moves, but they didn't leave either. Overlord Vextri sent daily messages demanding Earth lower the barrier and surrender. Captain Carter, now promoted to commander of the Outer Defense Fleet, kept his ships on constant patrol near the barrier's edge. From his new command ship, the Guardian, he watched the Krall vessels carefully. "They're up to something," he told his first officer, Lieutenant Jane Wilson. "They've changed their formation 3 times in the last 2 days." Jane nodded. "Intelligence reports they're bringing in different types of ships, smaller, faster ones with unusual energy signatures." "They're looking for a way in," Carter said grimly, "and given enough time, they might find one." At the Lunar Research Station, Alice and her team worked non-stop to strengthen the barrier. They added redundancies to the system and developed protocols for emergency repairs if sections of the field were damaged. 3 months after the barrier went up, Alice was awakened in the middle of the night by an urgent alert. She rushed to the control room to find Ben already there, his face pale as he studied the readings. "What's happening?" she asked. Ben pointed to the display. "We're detecting unusual energy signatures at multiple points along the barrier. The Krall are probing it with some kind of resonance technology." Alice checked the readings herself and felt a chill run down her spine. "They're trying to create harmonic disruptions in the quantum field." "Will it work?" Ben asked. Alice bit her lip. "Given enough time and the right frequency, yes, it might." She opened a channel to Earth Command. "Admiral Peterson, we have a problem. The Krall have found a potential weakness in the barrier." Earth's brief moment of safety was coming to an end. The real test was about to begin. Admiral Peterson stared at the holographic display in Earth Command's war room. The blue dome representing Earth's quantum barrier now showed 12 red points where the Krall were focusing their attacks. Military leaders and scientists stood around the table, their faces grim in the dim light. "Dr. Moore, explain what we're seeing," Peterson said. Alice stepped forward. Dark circles under her eyes showed her exhaustion. "The Krall have arranged their ships in a precise pattern. They're creating resonance waves that vibrate at the same frequency as our quantum field. Think of it like a singer breaking a glass with just their voice." "Can they break through?" asked General Rogers. "Not yet," Alice replied. "But they're getting closer. Each attack weakens the barrier a little more. We're reinforcing the affected areas, but we can't keep this up forever." Commander Carter spoke up from a video screen. His ship was patrolling near one of the attack points. "The Krall have brought in specialized vessels. They look different from their warships. More like mobile laboratories." "They're adapting," Peterson said quietly, "just as we would in their position." Alice nodded. "They're a highly advanced civilization. Given enough time, they'll find the exact frequency to disrupt our barrier." Peterson turned to the room. "Options?" For a moment, no one spoke. Then, Lieutenant Colonel Jason Green stepped forward. The young officer led the Special Operations Unit responsible for maintaining the quantum emitters. "Sir, what if we take the fight to them?" Green suggested. "One of our emitters in the Kuiper Belt is showing signs of stress. If we let that section weaken just enough, we could lure some of their ships in, then trap them inside with us." Peterson considered this. A capture mission? What would that accomplish? "Their technology," Alice said, suddenly understanding. "If we could study one of their ships up close, especially one of these new resonator vessels, we might find a more permanent solution." Peterson looked at Carter's image on the screen. "Commander, what do you think?" Carter thought for a moment. "It's risky. If too many ships get through, we'd be overwhelmed. But a controlled breach might give us valuable intelligence." "Lieutenant, Colonel Green, assemble your team," Peterson ordered. "Dr. Moore, you'll need to precisely control that section of the barrier. Commander Carter, position your fleet to intercept anything that comes through." Green saluted and left immediately to prepare his team. 3 days later, the plan was ready. Green and his team of 12 elite soldiers were aboard a specially equipped ship near the selected emitter in the Kuiper Belt. Their vessel was small and fast, designed for stealth operations. "All systems ready," reported Sergeant Alan Boyd, Green's second in command. "The emitter modifications are complete." Green opened a channel to Lunar Command. "Dr. Moore, we're in position." Alice's voice came through clearly. "Understood. We're monitoring the field strength. On my mark, we'll begin decreasing power to emitter K7. On the Guardian, Commander Carter addressed his fleet. "All ships, battle positions. Remember, we want to let exactly one Kral science vessel through, then seal the breach. Weapons hot, but hold fire unless absolutely necessary." The trap was set. Alice began the careful process of weakening just one small section of the quantum barrier. On their screens, they could see the Kral ships reacting almost immediately, several vessels moving toward the vulnerability. "They detected it faster than we expected," Alice said with concern. "They must have very sensitive instruments." The Kral fleet approached the weakened section cautiously. 3 of their resonator ships led the way, followed by 5 larger warships. "They're not taking any chances," Carter observed. "They suspect a trap." Green watched from his position near the emitter. "We need only one of those resonator ships. Dr. Moore, can you make the opening smaller, just big enough for a single vessel?" "I'll try," Alice replied. Her fingers flew over the controls, adjusting the quantum field with precision. The weakened section of the barrier shimmered and contracted, now just large enough for one of the smaller Kral ships to pass through. The alien vessels paused, seeming to communicate with each other. Then one of the resonator ships moved forward, approaching the opening. "They're taking the bait," Green whispered. The resonator ship carefully navigated through the hole in the barrier. As soon as it was inside, Alice shouted, "Now!" She reversed the process, strengthening the field again. The opening began to close rapidly, but at that moment alarms blared in the control room. "Multiple energy spikes," Ben shouted. "They're attacking all 12 points simultaneously." On the display, the remaining Kral ships outside the barrier had begun firing concentrated energy beams at the weakened points. The coordinated attack was far more powerful than anything they had tried before. "They used our trap against us," Alice realized with horror. "They wanted us to weaken the barrier." In space, Green and his team watched as the section of barrier near them began to destabilize completely. The quantum emitter they had modified was now fluctuating wildly, unable to maintain the field. "Emitter K7 is going critical," Green reported. "We need to stabilize it manually." "That's suicide," Carter responded. "The area is exposed to enemy fire." "We don't have a choice," Green said firmly. "If that emitter fails completely, it could start a cascade effect." Without waiting for permission, Green's ship accelerated toward the failing emitter. All around them, the quantum barrier flickered like a dying light bulb. Through the growing gaps, they could see more Kral ships beginning to push through. "All fleet vessels, defensive positions," Carter ordered. "Protect those emitters at all costs." Green's ship reached the platform housing the quantum emitter. It was a satellite-like structure about the size of a small house, now surrounded by a cloud of electrical discharges as its systems overloaded. Prepare for EVA, Green told his team. We need to replace the main power coupling and reset the quantum matrix. Sergeant Boyd looked at the chaos outside their ship. Sir, we'll be completely exposed out there. Green nodded grimly. I know, but if that emitter fails, a lot more people will die. As they prepared their spacesuits, the first Kral warship pushed through the weakening barrier. It immediately opened fire on the nearest Earth vessel, which exploded in a ball of flame. More gaps were appearing all around the solar system as the coordinated Kral attack overwhelmed the barrier's defenses. Earthships rushed to respond, engaging the enemy vessels that managed to break through. In the Lunar Control Center, Alice worked frantically to stabilize the remaining emitters. We're losing control, she shouted. The quantum field is collapsing. Admiral, Peterson's voice came through, eerily calm amid the chaos. Dr. Moore, implement Protocol Omega. Alice froze. Sir, that's the last resort option. We haven't tested it yet. We're out of options, Doctor, Peterson replied. Do it now. With shaking hands, Alice entered her authorization code and opened a sealed set of commands. Protocol Omega was a desperate measure they had developed in case the barrier failed. A complete reconfiguration of the quantum field that might save the system or might destroy it entirely. As she activated the protocol, Alice sent a silent prayer into the void of space. Humanity's fate now hung in the balance. Protocol Omega began with a low, deep hum that seemed to vibrate through the very fabric of space. In the Lunar Control Center, screens flickered as the quantum field reconfigured itself. Warning alarms blared from every station. What's happening? Ben asked, his voice barely audible over the noise. Alice's eyes never left her screen. We're inverting the quantum field. Instead of keeping things out, we're changing the nature of space itself around our solar system. Throughout the solar system, the blue glow of the barrier began to change. The color shifted to a deep purple, then a dark red. Earthships retreated toward the inner planets, following emergency protocols. The Kral vessels that had breached the barrier found themselves trapped as the new field took shape around them. In the Kuiper Belt, Lieutenant Colonel Green and his team worked desperately to stabilize the failing emitter. They floated in space, making repairs while enemy fire flashed around them. The emitter's changing, Sergeant Boyd called out. The energy signature is completely different. Green looked at his instruments in confusion. Fall back to the ship, now. His team barely made it back to their vessel before the emitter unleashed a massive pulse of energy. Instead of maintaining a section of the barrier, it now projected a different kind of field, one that distorted the very space around it. On the Guardian, Commander Carter watched in awe as the barrier transformed. What is Protocol Omega? He asked through his link to Earth Command. Admiral Peterson's voice was solemn. Our final option, Commander. Dr. Moore found a way to change how space-time works at the boundary of our solar system. If it succeeds, no ship will be able to use faster-than-light travel near Earth ever again. Carter understood the implications immediately. We'll be isolated from the rest of the galaxy. Better isolated than conquered, Peterson replied. The Kral recognized the danger too late. Their ships tried to escape, engines glowing as they attempted to reach fold space. But the altered quantum field prevented it. Their faster-than-light drives failed, leaving them with only conventional propulsion. Overlord Vextree's face appeared on communication screens throughout Earth's fleet. For the first time, the alien commander showed something resembling fear. Stop this abomination, he demanded. You don't understand what you're doing. This technology was forbidden by the ancient compact for good reason. Peterson faced the alien calmly. We didn't start this, Overlord. You brought war to our doorstep. We're simply ending it in the only way we can. You'll trap yourselves in this solar system for generations, Vextree warned. No species has survived such isolation. Humans are good at surviving, Peterson replied. And we'd rather face the stars on our own terms, in our own time. The communication cut off as the quantum field continued its transformation. At the edge of the solar system, space itself became visibly distorted. Light bent in strange ways, creating a shimmering curtain that encircled Earth's domain. In the Lunar Control Center, Alice worked to stabilize the process. "The inversion is at 70%, she reported. "Energy consumption is off the charts, but the emitters are holding." Admiral Peterson ordered all Earth ships to fall back to defensive positions around the inner planets. The few Krall vessels caught inside the barrier found themselves surrounded and outnumbered. "What should we do with the enemy ships?" Carter asked. Peterson considered this. "Offer them a choice. Surrender and live as refugees in our system, or try their luck with conventional drives to reach the barrier's edge." None of the Krall chose surrender. Their ships turned and accelerated toward the barrier, hoping to escape before the transformation was complete. Some made it through the thinning field, drifting into space but unable to activate their fold drives. Others were caught as the field finalized, their ships torn apart by the spatial distortions. After 6 hours, Protocol Omega completed its work. The barrier was gone, replaced by something far more fundamental, a region of altered space-time that surrounded the entire solar system like a shell. Within this region, certain laws of physics worked differently, making faster-than-light travel impossible. Alice slumped in her chair, exhausted beyond words. "It's done," she whispered. "For better or worse, it's done." Ben looked at the readings, with a mixture of awe and concern. "The field is self-sustaining, it doesn't need the emitters anymore." "Which means we can't turn it off," Alice added softly. 1 week later, Earth's Defense Council met to assess their new reality. The room was solemn as Admiral Peterson delivered his report. "The Krall fleet has withdrawn to a distance of 2 light-years. Without their fold space technology, it would take them decades to reach us using conventional drives. For all practical purposes, the threat is over." Dr. Moore presented her findings next. The altered space-time region extends approximately 1 light-month from the sun in all directions. We've effectively created what scientists are calling a dead zone, where faster-than-light travel is impossible. No ship, human or alien, can quickly enter or leave our solar system. "So we're trapped," General Rogers said bluntly. "Protected," Peterson corrected. "And given time to develop on our own terms," Alice spoke up. "The barrier doesn't prevent all travel, just rapid travel. With our current technology, we could still explore our own system thoroughly, and there's nothing preventing us from developing new propulsion methods that might work within the altered space-time." "How long would it take to reach the nearest star with conventional drives?" someone asked. "Decades at minimum," Alice admitted. "Generations, more likely." The council fell silent, contemplating this new future. Commander Carter had been invited to the meeting as a representative of Earth's fleet. He stood and addressed the group. "Throughout history, humans have faced isolation and overcome it. The Polynesians crossed vast oceans in wooden boats. Explorers ventured into unknown lands with just the supplies they could carry. This is no different." "Commander Carter is right," Peterson said. "And we have an entire solar system to explore and develop. Mars, the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, the asteroid belt, plenty of room for humanity to grow while we work on the next chapter of our story." 6 months later, Earth had adjusted to its new reality. The threat of the Krall was now just a memory, though long-range sensors still detected their ships at the edge of the dead zone, watching and waiting. Dr. Moore had established a new research division focused on understanding and potentially modifying the altered space-time field. Commander Carter, now Admiral Carter, led the effort to explore and colonize the outer planets. One evening, Alice stood on the observation deck of the Lunar Research Station, looking out at the stars. Ben joined her, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "Penny, for your thoughts?" he asked. Alice smiled. "I was just thinking about the message we sent to the galaxy. Not just to the Krall, but to anyone else who might come looking for an easy conquest." "Earth's message to the Empire," Ben quoted. "Passage denied. Turn back now." "Exactly," Alice said. "But we sent another message too, didn't we? To ourselves." Ben looked at her questioningly. "We told ourselves that we don't need the rest of the galaxy to survive, that we can make our own way." She turned back to the stars. "But someday when we're ready, we'll find a way through the barrier, and when we return to the stars, it will be on our terms." Somewhere beyond the dead zone, the Crawl Empire continued its expansion, conquering world after world. But in every strategy room and on every command ship, a new warning was prominently displayed. Avoid the Sol system at all costs. Some dangers were simply not worth facing, even for the greatest empire the galaxy had ever known. And on Earth, humanity looked up at the night sky with new purpose. The stars were still there, still waiting. They would just have to be a little more patient, a little more clever to reach them. It was a challenge perfectly suited to the species that had already overcome so many others throughout its long history. The barrier was not the end of humanity's journey to the stars. It was just the beginning of a new chapter.